this is Bradley Phillips. I'm a criminal defense attorney in New Orleans, Louisiana. Right out of the gate, I'm going to start with what is a minor in possession of alcohol. Being a minor in possession of alcohol is a charge that you were in possession of an alcoholic beverage while you were under the age of 21 years old. So I've handled hundreds of these cases over the years, and what I can say is I've never pled a person guilty to being a minor in possession of alcohol. That's one of the reasons you want to hire a lawyer. We know the ins and outs about how to deal with these in court, and that's why our experience can benefit you. The next thing I want to talk about is how big of a deal this is. That is usually the first thing that the client or the parents, that's what they want to know. And rest assured, parents, if you're watching, what I can say is if your kid's going to get into a little bit of trouble while they're in college, this is just the right amount of trouble. Think of it like a traffic ticket that you have to actually make a court appearance for. This is something like a reckless operation or speeding too much or a car accident. You can't just mail that ticket in. You can't just pay it over the phone. You've actually got to go stand in front of the judge and answer the charges in court. One of the next common question I get is, but wait, I wasn't given a ticket, I was arrested. What does that mean? The reality is, it doesn't mean that too much different is going to happen. What it means is you were actually taken to jail, and even though once you bond out, the experience of going to court, not being able to plead guilty over the phone is going to be similar, what it's going to mean is once all this is said and done, you're going to actually have an arrest that will show up on background checks in the future. So if that is the case, once the charge has been resolved, you may want to consider an expungement. If you were actually arrested and not just given a ticket for being a minor in possession of alcohol, call me. I can explain that expungement process and how it fits in a lot more detail. But that may very well be something, if you were arrested, that you're going to want to consider. Next question I really frequently get because, hey, this isn't that big a deal, right? Why don't I just plead guilty? Why do I need a lawyer? The reality is, if you plead guilty, just like you wouldn't plead guilty to a traffic ticket and pay those higher insurance rates, you don't necessarily just want to plead guilty, pay a smaller fine, and then be saddled with a criminal conviction for the rest of your life that you're going to have to explain to every employer, to every homeowner's background check when you're trying to rent an apartment. Hey, well, I was hanging out in Bourbon Street, and I was underage when I was drinking, and I got a ticket. That's definitely one of the reasons why you don't just want to plead this guilty. You don't want a criminal conviction. The other reason is you can't just plead guilty. You've got to come back to court if you're visiting from out of town for one of the various conventions, for Jazz Fest, for Voodoo Fest, for Mardi Gras, for spring break, and you've gone home. You can't just plead guilty. You're going to have to actually come back to court. If you're going to pay the expense of coming all the way back, paying hotel, paying travel, you might as well fight the charge and not just plead guilty. So finally, the question that I get asked is, well, if I'm not just going to plead guilty, what can you do? We know the city attorneys. We know the process. We make the appearances for you so you don't have to spend time, miss school, miss work, spend money to keep coming back to New Orleans 2, maybe 3 times if you want to actually challenge this. But more importantly, we know the city attorneys, we know the process, we know the questions to ask, and we know the things to look for to make sure the police have done their job and to make sure you don't end up with a conviction that you shouldn't have because maybe you're not actually guilty of the law, of breaking the law. So if you have questions, if you were in New Orleans, had a little bit too much fun, were given a minor in possession of alcohol, if your son or daughter was visiting and they were given a minor in possession of alcohol summons, call me. My name is Bradley Phillips. I'd be happy to answer all your questions. I am a criminal defense attorney in the New Orleans area, and let my experience benefit you, let it benefit your child, and let's make sure that when all is said and done, they walk away without a conviction on their record.